Rocking Teachers Pay Teachers this summer. This episode will get you started on episode 499.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Pam Olivieri from Rockin Resources. She's a 26-year teacher. She started her own store 8 years ago, and for the last 4 years, she has been full-time supporting teachers around the world. So, Pam, I know there's a lot of fascination. We've got summer coming up, and many teachers are thinking about, well, do I want to do this stuff on the side? What's your answer to them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to do something on the side, whether it is helping other teachers or thinking of things that you can do for your classroom next year or taking professional development. There are so many things that you can do over the summer to help either yourself in your educational journey or to help yourself as far as where you want to go next in your career.
So take us back 8 years ago. How did you start? I assume, did you start on Teachers Pay Teachers, or how did you start?
I was always looking for different ways to motivate my students in the classroom and to differentiate for their individual needs. So I was always creating my own materials, whether I was taking something that was already created and making it my own, or just starting from scratch just to be able to help them get motivated to learn. And so I had a friend of mine who came to me and asked me if I knew anything about Teachers Pay Teachers, which I call TpT. And I didn't know anything about it. And I said, no, I just do this for my own class. And she said, well, you share that with so many other people. You should also be sharing it with people around the world. So I said, okay, well, I'll put a few things on there. And I did. And, it was a little bit extra cash to pay for cheerleading for my daughter or whatever. But then my passion really kicked in because I felt like I was really helping other people and other teachers and homeschool parents, which in turn would help students, right? And I really turned the notch on that because at that time, I was really frustrated with all the writing programs and curriculum that we were using because nothing actually fit the needs of my students. And it didn't fit me. So I took several months. It took close to a year, but I developed my own writing curriculum. And I thought, well, I'm not going to go ahead and sell that right away because who's going to want this? This is just something that I feel that will work. So I tried it out in my classroom and the kids just absolutely loved it. And their scores went off the roof. And I was like, wow, okay, this might be something I want to put in my store. So I did. And I started with fourth grade because that's what I was teaching at the time. And I had people say, well, do you have fifth grade or do you have third grade? So that's when I realized I had a niche for TpT. And if I could give any advice to anybody who was looking to do something with TpT or start their own store somewhere, it would be to find a niche because I made a little bit of money here and there when I was, just putting a couple of units or something fun in there. But once I created something that I was truly passionate about and I found my niche, that's when things really took off. So now I have writing programs for grades first all the way through eighth grade. And then this past year, I decided it was time to go into professional development. So I'm getting ready to launch a writing course for teachers, professional development. We are targeting teachers, homeschool parents, and also administrators. And I'd like to offer any of your listeners, if they go to rockinresources.com/coolcat, you will get the free webinar, but you'll also get some free writing materials as well to use your URL, the Coolcat one.
Cool. So cool, free, right? A little bonus there.
Yeah, a little Rockin Resources for cool cat people.
So I guess your school didn't have any problems with you developing something and using it in your classroom and turning around and putting it on TpT. For example, I have some friends in New York and they say, you know what, a teacher can work as a bartender in the summer, but they cannot make lesson plans and sell them to other teachers, which I just find ridiculous.
Right. Well, I think at the time when I started, TpT was not that big. And, people were just finding out about it, and there wasn't a lot of things written in contracts. But I do hear that a lot. I'm in a lot of different groups with sellers, and there are some states, there are some districts, so you do have to be careful and make sure that you know what the laws are in your state and your district, because you don't want to go outside of your contract in any way. But I was fortunate that that was not an issue, and I was able to start that way.
Did you make any mistakes, Pam, besides at the beginning not really having a niche?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So the beauty of TpT is they have so many videos and trainings on how to do TpT, but it was not like that back in the day. So you go back 8 years when we were all trying to figure out what we were doing. And I didn't even know how to create. Do I use PowerPoint or Word, or do I use a different program, Adobe or whatever? And it was a lot of trial and error. I didn't even know how to take a PowerPoint and make it a PDF. I knew nothing about the technology part. And I know you're a technology teacher, so you would know all about that.
No, not always. I mean, when I started TpT, I have just a few things there I had to learn from people.
Yes, that's a huge tip, is to scour their site, because they have so many great ideas there. They have a forum, and you can find so many ways to create your store and make it successful, because all the people who have had all the bumps in the road are more than willing to share what worked and what didn't work for us.
So, Pam, what's your advice to the teacher who might want to open their store over the summer?
My advice would be to first think of your niche. Think of what you're truly passionate about. I had 2 things I was truly passionate about, and one was helping others, and the other was writing. I always loved the writing portion of my curriculum. And so I knew that I wanted to go in that direction. And that's why, when I finally got to the point where I was able to do professional development, it took me 8 years to get here. And it's hard work. It's not easy, but I knew what I wanted. And once I knew what I wanted, then that's when things really went in the right direction. Because like I said earlier, at first, I was just, I'd put a little unit there. Oh, I got a little secret garden unit. I'll put that up there. And that's great, if you don't want to make it into a big business. But if you really want to take it that step further, then you really have to think of what you're truly passionate about, because that's going to get you up in the morning and get you rolling. Because a lot of my friends who don't do what I do, they're like, well, how do you work from home? Isn't it just so easy to watch TV or to clean the counter? And I said, I'm driven. I get up. I'm excited for the day. How am I going to help teachers today? What can I do that's going to make their life easier? Because I've been there. I've been in the trenches. I've been there. I've wore all the hats that they are wearing right now. So I know their frustrations, and I'm always trying to find ways to help them. So once they find that, what is your passion, whether it's math or technology or whatever, then that is what you got to really focus on. So many people get on TpT and just have scattered products, one on math, one on technology, one on social studies, one here, one there. But you have to figure out what's your niche. And it could be across the subjects. You could take a niche across the subjects. Like my motto that I base all my resources around is to motivate, educate, and differentiate. So anytime you see Rockin Resources, you're going to see that. You're going to see this is how you're going to motivate, how you're going to use it to educate, and how you're going to differentiate for your students. So that kind of stands out. When you go in my store, you're going to see those things. And I do everything in a step-by-step fashion. So I have my step-by-step writing or step-by-step reading, so that I have the same customers coming back because they know what to expect. And if they liked the first thing, then they know what to expect. Does that make sense?
Totally. I have a business background. So, focusing and finding your niche, these are all things that are very important. And so teachers, I think it's a fantastic thing to have teachers speaking, to have teachers creating products, to have teachers writing books, their own books, and publishing their own books, because I think that teachers are a fantastic resource for other teachers. So thank you, Pam. And thank you for the rockinresources.com/coolcat.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.